So they are leaving some money on the table.
They're leaving a lot of money on the table.
Welcome to Pricing Page Teardown, where Patrick and Peter break down the pricing pages and strategies of subscription companies from all corners of the market. This week, Rent the Runway. The subscription fashion powerhouse transformed the retail market. With $100 million in revenue, the sky's the limit for this rental giant. Does their pricing page live up to the hype? Patrick and Peter, take it away.
In addition to the reserve, which is like the straight up rental, think of it as like a one-time purchase potentially, they also have this RTR update and RTR unlimited.
This is the first iteration of Netflix, right? Sort of unlimited rentals as long as you return the one.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So as soon as you return the one, you get the next one. So it's kind of like the Netflix model.
Cool.
Unfortunately, they don't have a streaming option for clothing.
Not yet.
But they've kind of gotten it with stores. You can essentially go, exchange the clothes. They have this really good branding around, like treat it as your closet. I think it's said better than I just said, but it's pretty cool. On this unlimited plan, unlimited rentals 4 at a time. Swap whenever you want, free shipping and dry cleaning, it's all included. And the first month here is $99 and then it jumps to $159.
So 99 feels like a total no-brainer. 160 or 159. Now we're talking like high-end gym membership, for instance.
Being able to basically rent the runway, this out on a weekly basis is pretty wild. And if you think about $150 a month, that's not that much money per year. If we go to try, or we actually try to sign up, what's interesting, ask for the email address.
Yeah, we saw this with Spotify, I think, too, right?
Yeah, and so they get it in right in the door. They, basically if you end up, leaving or something like that, it's real quick. And in this case, obviously they do need to ship the boxes, so they need to collect address and those types of pieces of information. But in this scenario, you should probably reduce as many of the fields as possible.
Yeah, I totally agree.
If you're doing B2B software, don't ask for the address. Yes, you need it for certain audit purposes, but you can get that information in different ways.
What do you think about something that says unlock my offer versus buy now? Is language important there on pricing pages?
I think it definitely helps with the brand, because if you notice, this brand is very upscale looking and appearing, but it also has a different vibe. That's the whole point of this, right? They want a relationship because they're on a mission to revolutionize fashion. This is the first business model in the history of mankind that basically connects you directly to the customer. The relationship is built right into the revenue model. And essentially every month, if they haven't built that relationship enough, people are gonna go, I
don't need this anymore.
I don't need this.
Yep.
In terms of the opportunity that Rent the Runway has, I think we really need to put this in context of what's happening in the fashion market. The fashion market's growing significantly. I mean, look at this uptick. It's basically gonna double within the next few years. China in particular is driving a lot of this growth, more middle-class individuals being able to afford nice clothes or nicer clothes, not necessarily very designer heavy. But what I thought was particularly fascinating in the research that we pulled was the amount of people who have actually tried a product like Rent the Runway. Subscription clothing, rental type clothing, those types of things. Just under 1 in 5 have actually tried renting clothes. 1 out of 10 have essentially done subscription clothing. So this is like Rent the Runway subscription or Trunk Club for men.
Yep.
1 in 3 millennials have tried a subscription food box of the month. These first movers are paying to train the market and paying to acquire the users, and then all these niche people can come in. So on the willingness to pay side, I thought this was fascinating. The 4 pieces per month, just to kind of explain this data, right around $100 a month. So $10 more on the median, almost to the dollar.
Yeah.
Essentially the willingness to pay. Folks are willing to pay a little bit lower on a median basis, but look at that range, right? When we look at the upper quartile, we have a situation here where the 4 pieces per month actually in the $150 range, and then we have the unlimited in the $200 range.
So they are leaving some money on the table.
They're leaving a lot of money on the table, but there's these natural barriers that occur right around the $99 mark, the $150 mark, and $200 mark. Essentially, if you're an $89 product, you should probably just be a $99 product, because the difference in willingness to pay between $89 and $99 is almost insignificant. If you're a $125 product, you should pick to be a $100 or $150 product, because oftentimes what ends up happening is there's this weird barrier between 100 and 150 and 150 to 200 where people just don't know how to act as consumers.
Oh, interesting.
And so when you're at 159, but you're starting to see a barrier. So if we look at like an elasticity curve, there's these bumps of friction in between these particular price points. And when I see this type of data, I probably wouldn't necessarily change their unlimited to $200 per month, but I definitely would start to open up a premium version.
Absolutely.
Things that feel really, really important, but also are probably low cost because they're already in your infrastructure. And that can start to boost that ARPU even further. What's also interesting is that when we look at this data actually by age, 18 to 34-year-olds ironically have more disposable income, but also have less money, so it's kind of like a wash a little bit. Willingness to pay for 35 to 55 is right up there with where essentially their unlimited plan is.
Yeah.
And then older than 55, it drops a little bit. They've stated publicly pretty readily that this is their target market.
Yep.
And so using that particular target market of 18 to 45, there's some opportunity here, and they can kind of avoid the upper end of the age ranges here. So what we're looking at here is a profit well value matrix. And what you'll notice is that they've hit this right on the head here, this unlimited pieces concept. So this unlimited pieces concept, not a lot of people want it in the aggregate, but those people who do want it are willing to pay significantly for it. There are different features like access to exclusive brands, which they do differentiate here, and the free shipping and dry clean. Those are all basically okay to be included.
Those are table stakes at this point, right?
Totally, yeah. But what's really interesting, essentially you have the opportunity to purchase the product that you rented
at a discount.
They buy a Diane von Furstenberg dress for $500. They rent it 3 times. Then all of a sudden they put it into the unlimited rental. It goes out to a couple of rentals, so they start recouping their costs there. And then all of a sudden they might sell it for $250. So all of a sudden they've definitely broken even.
For sure,
they've
plus
made some
$250.
cash, right? And all of a sudden they can start to, essentially, play with those discount ratios. But I thought this was really, really fascinating because I think they hit the nail on the head for what they were differentiating. I think they just got the price points a little bit different or incorrect, and they could optimize those a little bit further, which is pretty cool.
What are the key takeaways?
One, I think the experience is really, really important. The experience that they've kind of baked into the subscription model as well as kind of the rental model, I think is really, really important. 2, I think the biggest thing is to understand where the willingness to pay of your users are, particularly of your target customers, right? So we went after their target customers. Their willingness to pay was significantly higher enough to warrant basically saying that they have some room for improvement. And then the third thing here is the entry points. You can come in at any level, particularly on price point, and basically start to get interactions with the brand. And this is very similar to freemium, right? So a freemium software product, you basically enter the particular product. This is similar to getting Blue Apron or Plated. I get the free meals or the free couple of meals or the heavily discounted meals, and I start to get the experience, and theoretically I'm gonna love the experience so much I'm gonna want more. And I think that can't be understated with this particular type of model, especially because it took some risk given the cost structure. All right, what's the score?
We love this business. We think it's easily accessible for everyone. I like that they have 3 options. I do wish they had a higher price point though. Premium labels only, or some ability to customize your way. It's an experience. I'd probably give them an 8.5, 8.0 in that range.
Everyone an 8.5.
Well, that's because I'm a nice guy.
Okay. Love this business as well. The revolution that they're on, I think, is really, really great. But I think that one thing that is particularly brilliant is we all have to understand the cost structure of a business like this. The logistics, the inventory, the people, the design, and most of these folks are in New York, which is not a cheap city. All of these different things fighting against them, and they've been able to not necessarily get sucked too much into focusing so much on the cost. I have to say that this is a really, really successful pricing model because they've differentiated the way that you can purchase. I'm gonna give a pretty high score for me, especially.
Oh, here comes a 7.
It's not a 7. I'm gonna actually go with 8.9.
0.9, huh?
Yeah, just going over you. That's the thing. I rarely go over your score, and so I just wanted to show you up there. Well, that's all for this week. Great job, Rent the Runway. I'm Patrick Campbell.
I'm Peter Zotto.
And if you enjoyed this or got some value out of it, please share it with your colleagues, your friends, your family, whomever you think is going to enjoy it as well.
And don't forget to tell us who you want to tear down next.
All right, we'll see you next week.